Okay, so we'll look at Deus Ex Mankind Divided at 21:9. So finally we're going to have a look at this game. It's taken me a long time to get around to making this, firstly because I was away during the launch, but then because this game runs like shit. I rarely swear in my videos, but this game runs terribly. I'm running on the latest Nvidia drivers on a GTX 980 Ti and not getting bottlenecked from my CPU, and yet I cannot even run this at a steady 60 FPS on the lowest possible settings at 3440 by 1440. It's just absolutely not acceptable. Anyway, let's go over the 21:9 support first before talking about anything else. So the ultra-wide support here is moderate, with generally okay levels in most places, with just some notable issues scattered around. So the gameplay fully supports an ultra-wide view, showing off more on the sides of the screen correctly, and not prone to any kind of rendering or pop-in issues, with the exception of the displaying of white outlines on interactable objects. These outlines fade out in this extra screen space like they would at 16:9, but we see it at 21:9. However, due to the imposing nature of these outlines, it doesn't really bother me that they aren't present there, but for an overall correct support point, yeah, it's an issue. In-game cutscenes do render the full 21:9 screen space, however pre-rendered ones are 16:9 with black bars and limited to 30 FPS. There are some in-game cutscenes which are 16:9 with black bars as well, but thankfully they're infrequent from my brief time playing. The HUD is locked to 16:9 like you can see in the screen, and when you take damage the screen effect is limited to the 16:9 screen space. However, getting flashbanged does cause the whole screen to go white, so I suppose that's one less broken point. In-game menus are 16:9 and they cut off at the 21:9 extra screen area point, just showing a blurred background of the world behind, so it's not too bad. This applies to the augmentations and inventory screens as well, and the main menu is fully 21:9, showing off more on the sides of the screen. Finally, the loading screens are 16:9 with black bars. Now, glitch-wise, things obviously will get patched and stuff like that, but for example, I had a cutscene in the train station at the start where this guy is picking up and inspecting objects on the side of the screen, and the objects in his hand are miles from each other as they just move about. So it was clearly some kind of bug, but yeah, the game does have a good few of these that do need ironing out, and it's annoying because it's quite a while since launch that I'm covering this. Lastly, I want to say the FOV options in this are far too low. I really could do with a much higher level, which is frustrating, and I was using a controller for this because it's much easier to deal with the FPS issues when using a controller over a mouse and keyboard, in my opinion. So yeah, whilst for most FPS games I would usually use a mouse and keyboard, my reasoning here is quite clear. Now, back to the performance. As I said, this game runs terribly. I cannot run it at a steady FPS above 60 without it dying even on lowest settings when using DirectX 11. However, the DirectX 12 beta came out today and it's actually had a significant improvement on my FPS. Well, I say that, it actually had a huge benefit at the start, but then after a while of pumping the settings up and down and trying to play around, I struggled to get a good FPS again. I'm just really confused at how this is working, but obviously it's in beta, so it's understandable it's going to have problems, and it did crash on me at one point. And at least the update did seem to decrease the loading times significantly, which is a big plus. But overall, if you're not going to be using this DirectX 12 beta add-on at the moment, then it really doesn't look like it's going to run well for you. I don't really know how on earth it's running so badly, and it's definitely not my one-off. So anyway, my thoughts on the actual gameplay are limited for two reasons. Firstly, I refuse to play a game that is in this state. It's unable to run smoothly at any kind of decent graphical settings, and so why should I put myself through it when I'm unable to... And so why should I put myself through it when I can play anything else? And second, I have never had an attachment to Deus Ex. I love stealth and action games, and yet I've never clicked with this series. I don't know. But the fact that I don't have that personal attachment means that I got even less drive to push through all these performance problems. And so I'm just going to refrain from giving my thoughts on the actual gameplay, because at this point I haven't played enough, and I'm not going to be playing enough anytime soon for them to be any kind of useful ideas. And it's a shame, because it has been a highly anticipated title. Overall, I'm going to give it a WideAsFcuk score of 3. All the performance issues and stuff are more a PC port point, and so I'm not going to let that affect the actual score for a 21:9 point of view. And the ultra-wide support isn't actually that bad, it's just all affected by these performance issues on PC. And yeah, I hope that gives you some information on how the game runs at 21:9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For any of the games at 21:9, head over to my channel. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, the links to my Patreon page are in the description. You can also use my KingUin discount code that's on screen now on the site, and you can get a discount on any of your old games, and it also gives the channel a little bit of a kickback. Anyway, see you later.